Hey, thanks for tuning into another episode of the AutoFix Advisor Cast with your host, Michael Doherty. Hopefully, everyone in Service Advisor land is doing well, taking care of one another, and keeping those bays full. One thing I wanted to talk about to you guys and gals today was comebacks. I hate saying that word, but it's reality, right? I mean, it's going to happen, and it's how we handle it, right? It's how we handle it as professional service advisors to strengthen the client experience and get them to come back, literally to get them to come back after a comeback. How do we do that? So, let's be honest. I mean, again, mistakes happen in our industry and it's how we bounce back, right? And how we respond and how we make that happen can break trust, retention, and confidence, not only in ourselves at the shop, but in the customer's mind as well. So, let's get down to it. So, put some notes together for this one, right? Nobody's perfect, not us, not our technicians. And, 9 times out of 10, a lot of these things can be prevented from just having kind of a checklist, I think, in place, an accountability marker, right? And I've had it happen before. What I mean by that is, hey, I've had a vehicle in the shop for, we'll call it brake work, tire work, something along that lines, which is going to involve reinstalling and torquing lug nuts or lug bolts. And sometimes things like that get missed. And it shouldn't, but it happens. Was it intentional? No. Was it a mistake? Yes. How do we prevent that? Right. So, again, I think having a checklist of things for the technician to check off. And also, again, for service advisors that are also, I will call it tech savvy, if you would, grabbing a torque wrench, going out to the parking lot and just, going around and making sure that everything's good to go. Is that overkill? Should we have to do that? No. Should we want to do that? Yeah. Because again, we are the ones that are placing that phone call to the client saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, your vehicle is ready for pickup and it's good to go. You're saying that to them. It's at that point, it's more transactional. You're saying with, full trust of your team backing you that this car is good to go, and you want to know that that is what it is. So again, if you have to, if you're not so sure, go out there and check yourself, or come up with a checklist and make sure that the technician check those items off for services performed. Come up with whatever that list needs to be, have them sign it, have them date it. Again, it's an accountability marker, right? But again, more importantly, when that does happen, not just lug nuts and lug bolts, but could be anything, right? Again, mistakes happen. It's not intentional. But how do we build, or how do we figure that out with a client, right? Or what's the right thing to do? So I think the first thing is, own it. Take ownership. Yes, you likely did not work on the vehicle as a service advisor, right? If you did and you helped the technician, great. If you didn't, most of the time that is the case. But again, it's team effort. Don't get it in your head or say to the client, right, with something that happened that's considered a comeback. Well, the technician did this or the technician didn't do that. No, at that point, it sounds like you're placing blame, right? It's a team effort, pass or fail. So taking full accountability, right? You're part of the team, they're part of the team. That's where that word comes in. We are taking ownership of this. We messed up. We want to make it right. Don't place blame on one individual. Again, it is a team effort. I can't stress that enough. But again, how do we not ruin our reputation and do it the right way? So here's some things that, kind of go into that, right? So again, take accountability, be honest, right? First and foremost. I mean, just be completely honest with them what happened. And again, take ownership of it. And, we're going to take care of that for you. We're going to make it right, right? Again, no blaming, no dancing. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I owe you an apology. Something got missed out on our end and we want to make it right. Again, maybe they've been someplace where they're used to hearing excuses. Don't be that shop. Don't be that advisor, right? Take accountability. Be transparent, be professional. And, I've had it happen before. So, case in point, suspension work gets done, but the alignment doesn't get performed. Somehow, some way it was on the work order. something in the system glitched. It's not on the work order anymore. The technician did some work and just kind of is going through, the work order and checking off boxes. This job was done, that job was done, and they're telling us that, hey, it's good to go, right? And again, we're calling the client with full confidence. Hey, your car's ready to pick up, and you come to find out the alignment wasn't done, right? How do you bounce back from that? Again, take accountability. Let the client know that, we made a mistake, and we're going to take care of that for you. We're going to take care of the alignment for you at no extra charge. And maybe, you could also go to the extent to say, next time the vehicle's in for an oil service, we're going to take care of that for you. Again, everybody's got their own policies, but that gesture shows integrity, and it costs a lot less than losing a customer, right? They're looking for, again, you to be the professional, and part of that job is, taking accountability and being transparent with them. So don't ever make up a story. Don't ever blame it on somebody else in the shop. Right? Like, again, you've got to really take ownership of that experience and turn it around for them. And more importantly, after that instance, don't chicken out and not follow up with them, right? You might think that they're upset with you. They're going to be more upset with you if you don't follow up. And I promise you that. Again, life lessons, right? Lessons learned as a service advisor for over 20 plus years on my end. So, call them, email them, text them, whatever form of communication they prefer after that vehicle is left. And just don't ghost them, right? Follow up. And if they've got something to tell you, they're going to tell you. It's unavoidable, but again, it could cost you. It could prevent costing you a bad review, bad word of mouth. But again, it depends on the situation. And I can remember a handful of situations at the shop that I worked at over the years. Nothing was truly a safety thing. And I mentioned like the lug nuts not being torqued. Were they hand loose? Heck no, nothing like that. They just didn't get fully torqued. And it's one of those things again that just kind of happens, but you've got to refine your processes. And that's why it's really super important to have those morning meetings. And I think one thing too, speaking of the morning meeting, is when you're having that, go around the shop, implement something new. Implement having everybody coming to the table with a grateful. Hey John, you go first. What's your grateful for the day? And John's going to go, what are you talking about? What is your grateful for the day? It could be work related. It could be personal related. Hey, I'm happy it's Friday. I'm happy that I get to spend Father's Day with my kids this weekend. That's my grateful. All right, cool. That's your personal grateful. What's your work grateful? John's going to go, what's going on here? John, we're changing it up. We're getting grateful, right? Again, it's building your culture. Do a personal grateful, do a work grateful, and then pass it to the next person. And you watch that shop culture build, because every day you have that team meeting, that morning meeting, they know whoever's back there in that meeting that they're going to have to come to the table with a personal grateful and a work grateful, and not having one or the other technically is not acceptable. There's always something to be grateful for, right? Could be your health, could be your finances, could be somebody at the shop, could be a customer coming in, a favorite car that's at the shop that you're working on. Again, something. But I really recommend implementing a personal grateful and a work grateful into those morning meetings for each person that's part of that meeting. Give it a shot. See how it goes. Again, it's just building better shop culture. But going back to, I kind of segued a little bit into, again, how do we handle, comebacks, things like that. And I think it's really, it's there's no script for it, right? Every situation is different, and you have to adapt quickly. And obviously, if you can catch it before it's a comeback, great. Again, why I mentioned the service advisor, right? You're kind of the last line of defense before you make that phone call to the client. And I've encountered situations before, tell them that their vehicle's ready for pickup. I've encountered before, hey, we have a battery that's replaced in a vehicle, and you go out to the vehicle, and the clock's not set on the dash. The radio, when you turn it on, it says radio code. And yeah, we're talking about some older vehicles here. The new ones have IBS system, intelligent battery sensor, so the clock automatically resets. Satellite radio comes back on. But again, one pet peeve of mine was not reinitializing Windows, right? What is that? Well, on some of the earlier vehicles, 2000s, between 2000 and I don't know, 2010, somewhere in there, Audi, Volkswagen, Mercedes, those vehicles, anytime you did window work, you'd have to reinitialize the one touch up auto down feature. So you'd have to put the window all the way down, hold your hand on the window switch, count for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then you'd raise it all the way up, hold the window switch another 5 or 10 seconds, and then you'd be able to do auto up and auto down if the vehicle had that. And I would always go out there to make sure that that was done if that vehicle had that technology. And also I'm checking for window smudges, fingerprints for interior work that may have been done, window work especially. We need to keep some cleaners and degreasers on hand with us. And when we're going out to that car to get ending mileage, again, just do a quick visual scan, right? Is there a grease print on the floor? Is there a grease print from a technician's shoe on the carpet that shouldn't be there? Is the window clean? Is the window change, the next oil change due sticker in the windshield if you're using those cling stickers, right? Just a quick kind of just look around, right? If they had brake work done, right? Again, that the wheels were off. So, are they torqued down properly? Again, just checks and balances to prevent comebacks. But again, when a comeback happens, it's totally how you handle it. And again, if it's left the building and comes back and it's determined to come back, have a conversation, right, with the technician, not an argument. Not a you did this or you did that. It becomes a shouting match. It becomes disrespectful. Tempers get heated. I've been there before. It's not how to do it. It's just frustrating because nobody wants that comeback call. And again, until it gets to your shop and you've determined that it's a comeback, don't treat it as such. Still take care of the client, be transparent. Hey, we're going to check this out for you. But again, you've got to make that determination if it's a comeback. And again, put your heads together, right? It's a team effort. Talk collectively, come up with a game plan. And yeah, it's going to be the service advisor or service manager calling the client back to make it right. And I believe it should always be the service advisor because again, you're the one who has built that client experience. And don't duck out of it. It's a learning phase. It's a growth phase. Sometimes those situations can be uncomfortable, but again, you don't have to call them up, cold call and spitball it. Like again, think of a plan of action, right? How are we going to handle this? How do I want to handle this? Kind of role play in your head what you're going to say to the client before you call them, and then make that call, right? And what they say is what they're going to tell you. But again, if you handle it with tact, transparency, you're taking ownership of it, and you're going to make it right, I don't see them getting upset with you about it. And if they do get upset, it is what it is. But again, it's how you respond. I've had clients before get upset, and I'll literally come up with something real quick. Oh my gosh, can I put you on hold real quick? And put them on hold and count to maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, get back on the phone. And they're probably going to say, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" Right? They're now out of their funk, right? Oh man, something happened real quick in the shop. I just had to go take care of that. But hey, getting back to what we were talking about, right? It just diffuses. It breaks down that I won't call it anger phase, but it's a mindset shift on their end, right? And it's okay to do that sometimes if you get in that situation. So again, just personal tip, hey, create a sense of urgency and put them on hold real quick. 10, 15 seconds later, get back on the phone, and they're probably not going to be in that funk. They're probably not going to be in that. They're going to be more curious. Hey, what happened? Is everything okay? And kind of just take it from there. But again, thanks for asking, Mr. Jones. Yeah, everything's okay. So moving forward, here's what's going on with your vehicle, right? Again, a way to diffuse, somebody that's just, better word, kind of taking that out on you with self-preservation, right, for yourself. So, but in any event, Service Advisor Nation, thank you again for another episode of the AutoFix Advisor Cast. I truly appreciate it. And again, we really are the front lines for interfacing with the customer, and we need to be the ones to call them back, especially if there's been a comeback. Don't pass it to somebody else. Yes, it can be uncomfortable sometimes, but that's where the growth happens. Getting outside of your comfort zone is a good thing. Did I always want to make those calls? No, but the more I had to do that, actually, let me rephrase that. The more, when we did get comebacks, I wanted to be the one to call them back because again, they were hearing from me with the good stuff. They need to hear from me about the bad stuff too. But it's how you translate it to not make it bad, right? So again, get your thought process together before you make that phone call, and, handle comebacks head on, right? Transparency, honesty. And here's what we're going to do for you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. We're going to make it right. Again, if it's really your fault, if it's the shop's fault, if you missed a step, if you need to take care of it, if you need to offer them an additional service just to, make it right, smooth it over again, it's going to cost you a lot less to do that than losing their business in totality for them coming in for the rest of their vehicle's lives with you. So again, think about that, right? Is it worth losing the client over just eating a service if you have to? And the right decision is, yeah, make it right. Eat the service, make them happy. They're going to come back. And again, Service Advisor Nation, thank you so much for tuning in to the episode. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Keep those bays full and keep doing what you're doing. All right.